saw some detour signs.
I didn't see any.
I saw them when you and Mom were trying to fold the map.
Audrey, when they close the road, they put up big signs, like this one. Ah!
Okay, hopefully your family road trips don't get that out of hand and chaotic, but every parent has experienced that, whether literally or just it feels like it. All the sounds associated with the lovely family car ride, the whining, the arguing, the honking, the crashing. Maybe one of the more irritating sounds of Christmas that happens when you drive hundreds of miles with the kids all in the back seat in a tight space.
And this season, you will no doubt find yourself packed in a car with the whole family, whether you're going to a holiday party or dinner at grandma's house, just getting away for Christmas. How do you survive the family car ride and even better, turn it into an enjoyable experience? Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend has collected himself after laughing off his chair watching that clip.
You know what? Aunt Edna rocks. Did you see her hat? Is that not the best clip?
That's pretty good.
It's classic, and we've all experienced it too, I think.
See, that's what family's about.
Is that what families are about?
A real messed up road trip.
Elaborate on that, would you?
You know, no. That was just my favorite show on earth. I don't know how it got in there. Oh, I must have put it there. Family, it shouldn't be that big of a deal because we love each other. We want to be with each other. We're so much alike. So why should being in a car for hours be difficult? It doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
But it is. So 5 keys, right, to get through this event. Now, the way you do it, first of all, you have to manage your expectation. Like, why would you expect this to actually go well?
Yeah.
And if you don't expect it to go well, if you're very realistic, you'll know that, you know what, I would just settle for kind of good. I'd settle for if no one dies and if no one's maimed. That could be a really good road trip. Get rid of the idea of perfect road trip. You know what I mean? It's dynamic.
Yeah.
It's gonna, you got to adapt. It's got to be something. It's like jazz music. You make it up as you go. You can't just prepare everything, but you prepare something.
I love that being your first tip. Get it through it. Get it out of your head right now that it's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be bad.
Particularly women think from the emotional side of their brain. Fair enough, right?
Yeah.
So you can see this as a cozy family opportunity to bond and connect, and so you're kind of saying let go of that a little bit.
Quit touching me. Quit touching me.
Yeah.
Mom, he's sitting on me. Yeah, so I would just kind of try to make it pleasant.
Okay.
If we could just have a pleasant ride versus a perfect ride.
Go for mediocre.
Get that expectation in your head. Also get the expectation in your head that whoever cares the most about the ride has to do the most. Okay? So for every mother out there that's sitting there frustrated because no one else helps, it's probably because you care the most. So there is an expectation. Now, it doesn't mean we all shouldn't chip in, but there is you have to manage the expectation that if you care and you have all the expectations, you're probably going to have to do more. Because half of us aren't even thinking about what you're thinking about, right? Now you have to, once you have the expectation set, you got to manage the conditions. Okay, there's certain conditions that almost universally cause problems. Okay, remember, all humans have the basic same needs, right? Conditions like seating. Who should be deciding where they sit? You should. You should know who's going to fight with whom. You should know how this is all going to go down. You had road trips before, so I'd manage seating. I'd also manage spacing. I'd put big kids next to little kids next to big kids. I wouldn't put all the big kids on the back row. You're setting yourself up for a big fight, okay? I'd put a smaller child next to a car seat. Spacing's a big deal. I remember my parents, you know, they didn't care. I actually rode in the back window of our Impala all the way to California. And that was illegal today. But back then, nobody cared if you lived or died.
No, they had thought that through.
Yeah, they figured that out. Did they?
Yeah.
Well, it was either there, we called that the penthouse, or down in the basement. The basement was right over the drive shaft. It was always like 900 degrees down there. And then you always smelled dirty feet. So I like the penthouse apartment myself. Nice. So you got to manage the seating. You've got to manage the spacing. You've got to manage the schedule. Like if you have kids that you know can't make it, then I'd leave at 3 in the morning. So that you're traveling in the middle of the night so your kids are asleep. It increases the likelihood. Our goal here is not to have a perfect drive, just to increase the likelihood of a pleasant drive, right? So I'd manage the schedule. I'd also manage the stops and the superfluous, I call it. I have kids that can't leave without like a pillow, a blanket, a cuddle toy, all these things. And so we manage all of that. And like we basically say, okay, you get a blanket or a pillow, one or the other, can't have both. It sounds like a tyrant, but you know what? We know that that's what they'll be fighting about later.
They start trying to get the mini fridge and the microwave in the car. It just doesn't work, you know?
That's right. And the little bread maker. Stuff like that, irrelevant.
Okay. Next up, what else do we have to have?
Attention. Nothing gets worse than a child who's bored. So we have to make sure that we are managing their attention nonstop. We are not going to allow anyone to get bored. We're going to force excitement and interesting things. Then you have to manage their mood. So you're managing their attention so they're busy, and their mood in the car. One of the best things to do to keep people not moody, feed them. Make sure they've got food regularly.
That's
and
what they do
water.
on airplanes.
It's
They
like
just
a
give you
dog.
peanuts or drinks all the time,
They
you know?
keep because they don't want you ornery.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, have you heard about that star? We won't go there. That guy that got in the
I think I
fight
sat by him on the way to LA.
Did you?
So do you limit electronics, for example? Because
Yeah.
I'm speaking on behalf of the mothers out there who want to create this family happy bonding time, and you've got kids glued to they're not even called Game Boys anymore. What
No.
are they called?
Life Force.
Okay. They're PlayStation 3, you know,
Yeah.
all those gaming electronics. Do you limit those?
Well, again, what's your goal? Is your goal to survive? Is your goal to have a family bonding moment where we talk the entire time? If you're going to California, you know the device has only got a lifespan of about 2 to 3 hours. So when it dies, we've got them. But we're going to have to do something to inject something to take their attention. I personally like them for a time, but then I would turn them off, like maybe after a stop and before you start them again, I'd introduce other games, other activities. The mood thing is a really interesting thing because that's where you can get fun and have funny things. We always rent like funny comedians and listen to them all the way, so that my kids are quoting all their jokes the whole time. Or we'll watch a funny show, something that makes the mood a little lighter.
They don't quote your jokes all the time?
No, they actually don't find me funny.
Really?
Weird. Anyway,
Not going there.
and then the last thing we have to do is manage yourself. You're the only one you can control, right? So manage your mood. You don't have to freak out. Maybe you need a little break, a little timeout where you put your headset on, you disconnect, you take a nap. Okay, if you're doing that, don't be the driver. Just obvious. But get away, take some space in the car. My wife just puts her headset on and goes to La La Land, okay? So it's a great way to do it. The other thing is, don't assume everybody's thinking what you're thinking. If you think your husband's on the same page with you for what's going on in that car, don't assume that. Make sure we're on the same page by actually having a conversation.
I love the whole manage expectations because we all have this bar set so high and it's never going to be there, and then it gets us frustrated.
That's right. Well, then you're all
that's the problem.
disappointed and you feel like a loser parent.
Speaking of losers, you have a special deal going on right now for, I mean, not that you yourself are a loser, but you know, I'm sorry.
That was probably the most awkward transition we've ever seen.
You can't talk your way out of that one, Darren. Jerk. So what we've got is this great offer for Darren and his friends. It's a coaching deal. Now check this out. Everyone, you can give a gift certificate. We're giving gift certificates so they can give the gift certificate away to people who need help.
That's a great idea.
It's a free gift certificate. Call us or look us up at matttownsend.com. And it's $140 value. We sit down and do a whole free 1-hour session with you or anybody that you know needs it.
Good
and you give it to them, then they have to take it, right? It's Christmas.
All right. Good opportunity. Thanks so much, Matt.
Thank you.